For 90s throughout Ventura and Santa Barbara counties.
Hey, this is Jim with My Garage. Good morning on this wonderful morning of Monday. Juan and Spence, did you miss me?
You know, I missed you, but I missed your introduction the most. I missed your introduction the most. Now, that's like your handle with all the video stuff that you do, and you've been posting videos for quite some time now.
Well, it hasn't been quite some time. It's actually been less than a year, and I don't know why I started doing it. It just
When will
happened.
it be quite some time, so I'll know?
I don't know.
After
What do you
like
classify
a
as
decade?
quite some time?
Maybe a score.
I think a year. If you're into something for about a year,
A year's
you know
good.
What I mean, I think you're doing it for a year. I guess it's a habit.
So My Garage today, by the way, folks, we're going to talk about exhaust, and this is really, really going to be huge. Juan, good morning. How
Good
are you?
morning, Spence. This show brought to you by the law offices of Richard Francis and Associates. In case of a motorcycle accident, call 805-485-8888 before it's too late.
And one of the big things is with a motorcycle accident, any accident that you're involved with, shut the heck up and get somebody who knows the ins and outs. You've got to have somebody that's fighting for you. As honest and as forthright as you're trying to be, you're going to blow it.
That's right.
You're going to blow it.
Well, you're not an expert accident victim, and the adjusters are experts at not giving you money.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll start right off the bat with the car. So I'll give you a car, I'll rent you a car, but you didn't lose the car. You lost a Harley.
Sure.
And you can't rent a Harley for $29 a day. It's like $180 to rent a bagger, or $120 something to rent a sporty. So right off the bat, they're going to take advantage of you. So you got to call 485-8888 right away.
Make sure you do that, folks, and get great representation. You did fine work for me a couple of years ago
That's
now,
true.
and it really, really saved me. I had 3 insurance companies battling me, and I didn't know what to do, and you guys handled it, and I greatly appreciate that. My Garage.
Good morning.
Okay, so we talked tires last week, and now we're going to exhaust. Tell us a
I'm
little
glad
bit
somebody
about.
said something to me.
Yes, tell us a little bit about riding motorcycles and the exhaust systems on those bikes.
I think it's one of the most modified, or I could say customized piece on the Harley Davidson motorcycle, because when you buy a new one, they all sound like a sewing machine, and people bring their bikes in, they want to change the exhaust, and unfortunately in the state of California, we actually have compliance things that we have to work within, and I believe probably 98% of the exhaust manufactured out there, we can't even get into the state of California. The most changed exhaust right now is on the touring motorcycles. Everybody calls them a bagger, and we're changing the slip-ons. And really it comes into play because the California Air Resource Board, which is the kind of like the governor of our pollutions and stuff like that, they say that you have to have a catalytic converter. And in the state of California, it is illegal to modify an emission control device on a motor vehicle. And as soon as you change, for instance, like an Edina or a Softail, to broaden up the spectrum, you know, the catalytic converter's in the muffler. So when you change the muffler and make it louder, technically you're in violation of that. Which I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around, because California Air Resource Board, as much as it's a California agency, it's actually not. They're self-funded by giving them people tickets, and I've actually had one of my customers works for a company. He'll go nameless. His name's Drew, and I won't say who it is. He actually does air quality control for a company, and he does more sophisticated equipment that he uses. And he changed his exhaust, and the whole thing. He has a 2017 Milwaukee 8, and I was telling him, I said, well, it runs better this way, that way, and he checked the emissions, and he goes, it's the exact same. And it made me wonder, I go, God, you know, there's no catalytic converter, you'd think it would change. And ironically, it didn't do anything in that particular instance. I mean, this is my opinion, but I have found recently in the last 6 months, Bassani, Trask Performance, two specific companies, we've been buying their exhaust because they're legal now in the state of California. They have no catalytic converters on them, more specifically for the Dyna, because they've paid $40-some thousand to make it a legal screw in California, and they have no cats. They test them, they go, oh, they're good, so go ahead and sell them. So you tell me, you know what I mean? Makes me scratch my head a little bit, you know, what's legit and what's not, you know?
Now, between what's legit and what's not, what is the good thing that can happen when it's modified properly by a professional like My Garage, and what are some of the really down things that can happen to a bike if somebody has a lesser talented, or if they try to wrench their own?
I wouldn't really. I think it's a lot of this stuff is you could do it yourself. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, I could lie like the place that starts the dealer and say that professionally needs to install it, this, that, whatever. Some of the things for the touring more specifically is where we get into doing the exhaust more than anything else. We actually, when we install this slip-on, it's going to open up the flow, and the biggest thing is we'll reset the initial map, so to speak, which is the ECM on the motorcycle, and it has O2 sensors on it. They came out with them in 2007, I think it was, and the O2 sensor reads the exhaust. So when you change it, they say it's going to need more fuel and things like that. And in the old days, yes, and you want to put a map or a tuner on it, and nowadays you don't really have to do that. So when you change it, either A, you reset it and it's going to learn faster, so it's going to give more fuel to the system sooner because there's a window that needs to operate within, or B, you just wait. It doesn't take long, a few miles or what have you, and all of a sudden it changes itself. But realistically, tuners is going to give you more power to do a lot of different things, but it's detrimental to a lot of people out there with new Harleys because Harley is so excited, kind of like a fat chick looking at I shouldn't say that. How about myself looking at a box of Twinkies, getting all excited, right? But the thing of it is they void warranties because you change it unless you go with theirs, I mean, they basically wrote into their warranties stating that if you use a tuner, it has to be theirs, which I think that's kind of like edging on against the law, federal law about having a monopoly. Mm-hmm. And then there's a Magnuson-Moss Act that basically states that you have to prove without a reasonable doubt whatever you did caused the demise of said part that you're no longer warranting. And they're just blanket voiding warranties right out of the gate. And that's, I think, wrong,
But anybody who has a bike should go through the process. If they're more of a rider than a wrencher, make sure that they have it done by somebody, or at least get the advice on the products available that are also legal for California. How much of it is the sound of the Harley? Is that, like you said, the sewing machine out of the shop, perhaps, out of the store when you buy it, and then you get a nice modification done by My Garage. How much of the Harley feeling is the sound?
I think the majority of the sound. It's funny you mention that because people say, well, I want loud pipes save lives, or you're splitting lanes and so they could hear you. And there's a lot of times you're on the freeway and you hear something just zip by and it scares the living what out of you. And it's crazy. But I think, people come in and they're like, what does it sound like? I need to hear it. You have one, I want to hear it.
I just want to tell you that I don't know if you remember, Spence, a couple of years ago, Japan, a Japanese company got sued by Harley because they were trying to imitate the Harley sound. So it's quite unique. It's
Well, some people have called it the potato,
Right.
which is really good. I drive a lot, and if you'd like to call in with a question, 650-1590 to KVTA. If you have any motorcycle question, Harley Davidson related especially, give us a call, 650-1590. But the lane splitting, I enjoy the freedom, and I get where they're going, and I understand you'll get someplace a lot quicker if you're on a bike. But I really appreciate the loud bikes because when you're going on the freeway and you're doing about 10 and somebody can split a lane at about 30 or 40, and some of them will, they'll do a little rev if they think you're moving around too much and they need the space. But the big sound is good.
I want to thank all the drivers that actually move away from the motorcycle because that's pretty courteous on their part. But the other thing too is with Harleys, normally not most of them do not have any air cooling system. So if we sit there behind a vehicle, we're breathing their exhaust, and then our bikes get really hot if we don't have a liquid cooling system. So it's best. And I think another state just allowed lane splitting too. I'm not sure which state.
So it's not only for speed; it's for health of the bike.
And your own health. Imagine sitting there breathing all the exhaust of the vehicle in front of you.
Here we are talking about emissions again.
Yeah.
It's not 1970s. I remember you could smell it back then. It's not that bad, But no, in California, late spinning is legal. There are states like Arizona that are not. And I was actually out there for Arizona Bike Week and riding my bike. It's turbocharged, and we're having a good time. And it's getting hot because there's like no traffic. And I'm like, I'm in the wrong spot. I got to move over. So I'm just trying to get over there. So the next thing you know, I'm like, I got to ride on the side of the road, and they didn't like that, which I knew what I was doing. But it's either A, lose a CVO, which costs you $50,000 right out of the gate, or, what? get a ticket, I'll take a
Wow.
whatever $50 ticket.
Over
you know?
that, certainly.
Yeah, you know, so
How many systems are available?
as
Like,
far as exhaust systems,
Exhaust system. Is it a wide range?
oh, it's a huge amount. I mean, there's stuff that you have Freedom Performance, Vance and Hines, just to name a couple, Cobra. I mean, there's a lot of companies that have been out there for a long time. The big players, Bassani, I think, is probably one of the #1 companies out there. They actually make stuff for cars as well. As well as Trask has got a lot of new stuff that's coming out. So, I mean, we have a huge selection of touring exhaust in stock. So you can come in, and the thing is we install it for free. Try to be more of a top shelf operation, and because it's not that big of a deal. And I got tools I got to play with, so you know I like playing with my tools. So you bring your bike in, I'll put it on for free. It's not a big deal.
And what do you ride?
I ride a 2019 CVO, which is their custom vehicle operations. This is their top of the food chain bike, which is my particular one is red and gray, and I guess it's a limited edition, one of only 500 made, and then we changed a few things on it, but it's a lot of fun.
But why not? That's what it's all about, right? Modifying, making it
Customizing
better,
it.
making it, I would imagine, better for the comfort of the ride and also the speed of the ride.
Well, I'm not so much about going fast, you know. I like to have a good time riding my bike, but yeah, it's turbocharged. We put another $60,000 in top of it, the cost of the bike, and I built it myself on the showroom floor next to my desk, and we did a whole Instagram thing on it, which became really huge. And you don't realize how big something is until you go out of state, and people are like, know that bike, because we have a name for it. I don't even know if I can tell you the name.
Send us one of those. I got to put it up on the Facebook page. That sounds
we'll
like
get you one.
sounds like something
Yeah.
pretty. And Juan, what are you riding?
I ride a 2017 Streetlight Special.
With $65,000 in
No.
upgrades. Sure you do. Why not?
I have the
Now-
Freedom Pipes though, because I love their throaty sound.
Now, I've also got to ask this because we're going to jump here. First location, my garage.
My garage is located in 11107 Violetta Street in downtown Satakoy, which is East Ventura.
Now, what you just said is fairly shocking to me, but it's why the hobby is so great. But your insurance, not only on your life and your body and your well-being, but if you've got a bike that has upgrades of $65,000, if you insured it at one time and got a bunch of upgrades, you got to make sure.
You got to call your agent, tell them what
And
you
see
have,
what's
because
up.
because some of these policies only carry $3,000 in aftermarket parts, and you spend $20,000, you're done. If your bike goes down, all you're gonna get is $3,000, and it's gonna be like pulling teeth unless it's State Farm. Okay, and not to give State Farm some props here, but they pay well. That's why I'm insured with State Farm. Jimmy's insured with State Farm. But the most important thing about insurance, Spence, is that you have to increase your liability limits so you can have a high uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist limit. Do not allow these dealers or any store to let you go out there with a 1530 policy just to sell you on the price of the bike, and they'll give you the insurance right there and then. But because we've seen too many people come in with their 1530 policies on their bike, and guess what they're told? Why do you need more insurance? You're not going to hurt anybody with your bicycle, but your motorcycle, but you have a passenger sometimes.
Sure.
And more importantly, there are a lot of people out there with 1530 policies, and when you go down on a motorcycle, your case is not a 1530 case anymore. It's 50, 100, 200. We just settled a motorcycle case for $1 million a couple of months ago because of the injuries.
What's our next ride? Do you have something coming up? Is there an event, or is it just going out and having some fun?
Oh, you always got to put me on the spot.
Yeah, you gotta have
It's
something.
too early in the morning. I know we have a big show coming up. I believe it's in August. But as far as rides, I know there's a group that's out there, VC Riders, the breakfast group. They actually get together on Sunday mornings and go out and have breakfast. I'm giving them a shout out, even though I've never been on one of their rides. But it's one of those things that we're open. You know what I mean? If you want to go on a ride and somebody wants to get together, hit us up. We're all about riding.
Go have some fun. And again, where do we find your shop?
It's 11107 Violetta Street on the corner of Los Angeles Avenue. Los Angeles Avenue ends at my doorstep.
Awesome.
It's in Satakoy.
And you do a lot of Instagram, a lot of Facebook. You got your videos up.
Follow us on Instagram at My Garage Ventura. Facebook, same thing, My Garage Ventura. And we also have 1590 at mygarageventura.com, which if you want to send in a question, which we had a question sent in, they wanted to know if this was scripted, and I laughed and I said, no, it's not. It's completely
I'll
off the
tell you
cuff.
from here.